Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Austin's American Flyer, where today Michael is joining us yet once again, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about something called a Christmas garden. So, Michael, tell us what a Christmas garden is and why do we want one?
All right. Well, thanks for having me again, Austin. I really enjoy talking with you. So I'm from Baltimore and Baltimore, Maryland. And as I understand it, back in the 1800s, the fire departments used to put out a Christmas tree display, and then that morphed into putting things around the tree as well. And then by the time trains were commercialized, electric trains, people started putting trains around the tree.
Okay.
And here in Baltimore, it became known as a train garden, a Christmas garden.
Okay.
So if somebody says Christmas garden elsewhere, they're going to think of Christmas plants and trees and things like that. But here in Baltimore, it's pretty much universally understood that it's a train layout or train garden. And basically, a lot of even people who aren't even in the trains will put a train around the tree.
Okay.
But again, they'll morph into something a little bit larger. And that's what happened in my house.
Okay.
So my dad and my older brother were in the trains. Mainly my dad got me into it. And I just happened to love them more than they did. And I kind of stuck with it. But they used to put a large train layout around the train garden every year. And
Okay.
it got to the point where my mother thought it was too big, so they moved it to the basement and they made it much larger. They still put a small tree around a small train around the tree, but they created the Christmas layout or garden down in the basement. And then that's kind of what I've liked, and I've carried that tradition on in our house as well. And and I think I mentioned it to you earlier. I have a 33-year-old daughter who grew up with that. And she and her husband, they have a 20-month-old daughter of their own right now. They don't put trains around their tree because they have a couple dogs and their daughter and all that, but they look forward to coming down our house and seeing the trains that I have set up. So I try and make it whimsical, I guess. I'm a former scale model railroader. I built a couple scale layouts years ago. So I incorporate that a little bit into it, but not much. I basically stick to the whimsical plastic build type, buildings. I do have some American Flyer buildings in there. The Woodcraft, I believe they were called.
Have those Minicraft.
Minicraft, I'm sorry. I have some Minicraft buildings in there, and then a few operating accessories. This year I made it a little bit more simplistic. Tried to add a couple things in there that my granddaughter can do, to keep her attention going. Not that I need to do that because she loves the trains going around. So
that's great.
Every year I try and change it up a little bit, so it just looks a little bit different from year to year. But basically, it's kind of the same. It's a city scene. Or I would say a rural town type scene is what it is, not a city. And I always try and put a farm in there, or a small mountain, things like that. So that's basically what you see.
All right, what are we looking at here?
Okay, so that's the beginning. Every year, this is my basement, and it's a club basement. So I think I was telling you earlier, my wife allows me this room, this much space to put it up. It's about just under 12 foot long, and it's 4 foot wide there, but I have extensions that I put on it to make it about 5 foot wide, a little less than that. So what you're seeing there is the table. I drill a lot of holes in it over the construction because I'm putting different lights in. I'll light the streets up, and then every year I'll putty the old holes back up and then drill new holes. And then if it gets too bad, I'll just replace the board over time. But right now it's held up pretty well, and it just sits on metal sawhorses. And a couple of three 12-foot long stringers that kind of support it, and it holds up pretty well.
And what did you say the dimensions are overall?
It's a little under 12 foot. and it's about 5 feet wide.
5 feet wide.
When I get the extensions on, I believe it's something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So now, is this the same tabletop we were just looking at?
That's it, and that has that now has the extension on it. And then this is the part where I put the track together, and then I try and figure out what I want to do a little bit differently. But I can never really come up with anything permanent. Nothing like yours where you have the over and under and all that. I just can't do that in here because I like to run. I probably could, but I like to run multiple trains. So the way I have this set up now, I have one train running on the loop on the outer loop, and on the inner loop, I have 2 passing sidings. So I can actually fit 3 complete trains on that inner loop, and of course, just run one at a time.
Yeah.
So you can't see the other passing siding; it's hidden behind those boxes, but it's there. And so I've tried to kind of deviate from that every year, but it never seems to work. I always just go back to that one for some reason. It's simplistic and it works, so I just kind of stick with it.
Oh, this is kind of the same thing here. You see
a little bit the same. Yep.
Control. We got a nice control board there. Wow.
Yeah, I was never big into. I had years ago when I was in the Lionel, I had a ZW, but I'm in the electrical field, and the ZW. The one thing I don't like about it is it's 275 watts, but that's separated into 4 controllers if you use it to control 4 trains. And so there's a voltage drop there when and you don't really get the full wattage out of it. So I like to stick with 2 single transformers. The one to the left is a 300 watt transformer, and the one to the right is 190, I believe. But I do like having the single transformers, and what you can't see underneath is I have an old 250 watt transformer. That's I think it's a 190 watt transformer. Sorry, and the controller I found it in an antique store, and it was basically junk. The case is cracked and all that. So I took the transformer guts out, and I got one of those. I guess you would call it. It's a small gray box, project box in the electrical field, and I rewired it so that its output is just constantly 19 volts output.
Okay.
And that's under the table, and that powers all the accessories and the lights and everything. So you can't see that; it's out of view. Okay, so this is just a little track scene there. I've got the that is I have a couple of the Woodcraft buildings, but only that station you see there in the foreground. Or I'm sorry, that's a Plasticville station in the foreground. In the background there, that's Park. What's it called? Park Station or something. I can't remember the name of it, but it's got the red roof on it, the maroon red roof. And that one is I don't know if I have a better picture of that one right now, but I can send you one. That's a pretty nice little piece there. I did have to repaint the platform gray again, but other than that, it's in good condition.
So why did you put the strip kind of down the middle over
that? That's just a little thing I throw in there. It's actually a little walking platform, so passengers can walk from one platform over to the other.
Gotcha.
So you can't see it in this picture, but the platform to the left is scratch built. I built that to replicate a flyer platform. So I think there's a better picture in there.
Yeah. What's
yeah.
Okay, it looks like here. Is this?
That's it. So it's custom made. It's just a piece of oak wood that's cut to the width to fit in between the main the outside loop and the inside loop.
Okay.
And I think it's about 2.5 inches, something like that, 2.25 inches. And then I took the roof and I just bent that and made it out of sheet metal.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I made the supports. You can't see them in this picture, but I made them out of wood, and I made it, and I just wired 3 lights in there. But I made it to look like the Flyer Suburban station. I have that station, but it's a little shorter for my, my taste. So I made this a little bit longer. And then
Cool.
what I do with this, the figures is I use a rubber contact cement. So
Oh,
it'll hold them in place, but then I can peel them up when I'm done without pulling any paint off.
that's brilliant. That's
Yeah.
brilliant.
And
Yeah.
I usually have the talking station in there, but this year I decided not to use that. I just went with the Oak Park. That's what it was, Oak Park Station.
Okay. Did you make the luggage?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a woodworker. It's my other hobby too, so I dabble in that. But
Wow.
I just took scrap pieces of wood and I just had them laying around, scrap pieces of oak and pine, and
Yeah.
just took a little micro saw, cut them down, painted some of them, just you know, made them to look like luggage. I also have some on the platform, the passenger platform, where a couple people are sitting on the benches. You'll see a few of them there.
Well, and there were some getting loaded either in or out of the truck. I don't know which.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
Some of those are scratch built, some are commercial. That
Okay.
that bag of concrete, or that, I'm sorry, that pallet full of concrete, that's commercial.
Okay.
But anything made out of wood there is custom made.
Well, I'm convinced they look like trunks to me.
Thank you. This is my hobo scene. I have one in there every year.
Okay.
I use the lights, the little flickering lights.
Oh, wow.
It's a company that makes, their electronic company, and they're
Okay.
great to work with. I bought um, two of them last year, and they're guaranteed to last for 2 years. And one of them that I used last year inexplicably burned out. It worked fine, and then I went to wire it up this year, and it didn't work at all. So I contacted them, and without question, they sent me another one in the mail.
Okay.
So I bought a few more of them. Called a nano light. It's very small. It's 6 lights in there, and it
Huh.
really looks. I mean, you can see in the picture, it looks like an actual fire. So,
Wow.
so that's
I'm
one of
also
my.
just I'm intrigued that the hobo in green behind him is that shack, and on top of the chimney is like an upside down bean can or something. I just,
Yeah,
that is fantastic.
yeah. The
Wow.
buildings are just they're um, Bachman
Okay.
buildings. So yeah, they're pretty neat. I was always intrigued with them, even when I got into scale models. I just thought the I don't know, the Bachman buildings, I thought just had that they just had a touch of realism to them. So I went back to them, for the Christmas garden. I wanted to have that, the realistic look of them, but also the Christmassy type whimsical part of it as well. So
Yeah.
that's the combination I go for.
That's great. And are these Bachman S scale? Are they O scale? What
They're a
gauge are they?
combination. They're
Okay.
actually they're combination O and S.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Plasticville was made and still they make it in HO, and I think they might have made some in N, but their larger ones were, if you look at the box, it'll say O and S, O/S
Right.
on
I've
there.
I've seen
They,
that.
they
Yeah.
yeah, they're probably more O scale, but they work well with Flyer. You really can't tell. The figurines there are O, and they're much too large for Flyer.
Mm-hmm.
So, but one thing I wanted to point out in the back, in the farm scene,
Uh-huh.
you'll see bales of hay.
Yeah.
I made those using tape and bits of um, a, like a rope cord. And I
Huh.
got that idea. It was a little video I saw somewhere a couple years ago. A guy did it for his HO layout and for his farm scene. And so what he does, he just takes just a what you call the fabric, one of those little small rope twine. I guess you
Yeah.
could say twine.
Yeah.
And he actually takes scissors and he just cuts them into little fine hairs. It doesn't take as long as you think it would. And then
Okay.
he takes a piece of Scotch tape,
Okay.
the double-sided tape, and he just rolls them up in that, rolls the tape up in those little shavings, and that's what you get in the back. It looks like bales of hay.
Oh, that is genius.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty neat idea. I can't remember where I saw the video now, but
Yeah.
Maybe I'll make a little video.
You should.
I
You
would like
should.
to give the person credit, but I can't remember. I can't remember
Yeah.
his name now. So
Wow. Oh, and here's another view. Okay.
yep. So that's looking down the layout from one end to the other.
Okay.
And all it really is a grass, not a grass mat. I stopped using those years ago. It's just a piece of carpet from Home Depot or Lowe's.
Okay.
And I reuse it every year.
Uh-huh.
And this one has a little bit more roughness to it.
Uh-huh.
It gives you the texture more of grass, more so than the carpet, and it withholds all the holes I drill into it every year. You can't even see where the holes are.
Uh-huh.
That whole it's held up. I've used it for about, I guess, 6 years now.
Wow. Oh, this is beautiful. Well done. Well done.
Thank you. That's the little the switching area scene, or the siding scene. The switch tower there is a Bachman switch tower.
Uh-huh.
But I put a little light in it. I
Okay.
got a little piece of copper tube and a piece of sheet brass, and I bent it to form the little light, and then put a grain of wheat bulb in there and wired it. And there's the light inside, and then the light outside. And that I made years ago when I still had Lionel, and I've had that one ever since then. So I'd say, I don't know how old it is, but I've had it for about 20 years, and it was old when I bought it. So,
Now,
but I had the light
did
about
you
20 years
paint
ago.
that at all, or is
Yeah,
that okay?
just a little bit. The trim around the top. I didn't.
Uh-huh.
I have another one that I want to paint cream. Look more like the Baltimore and Ohio, their paint scheme on their buildings, but I haven't finished that one yet. So I'll use that one next year. This is
So,
just a street scene here.
yeah.
And
What do you
used
use for your roads?
I use black construction paper, and you
Okay.
can go to around here. We have a place called Joanne Fabrics,
Yeah.
and they sell it in sheets, like 2x3 or 2x4 sheets. I think it's 2x3.
Uh-huh.
And I just buy a couple of those every year, and I just sit them down. I lay them down. I decide how I want the street to look, and
Mm-hmm.
it's very little cutting. I just lay them down, butt them together, tape them from the underside with masking tape so the joints don't move. And
Uh-huh.
then these sidewalks that you see, some of them I reuse every year. Some of them I have to make new depending on the curb. But it's just hardboard. It's just the dark brown hardboard. I cut it to
Uh,
how I want to make it fit, and then I spray paint them uh, a flat or a semi-gloss gray.
and
Look
then
like
you
a
put your
sidewalk.
building right on top of that.
Right.
Oh, that's
Exactly.
brilliant. Oh, it looks so nice. Wow.
And the one you see in the front right, the little store there, the outdoor farmers market, that
Mm-hmm.
one was cut a number of years ago, and I've cut it 3 or 4 times since then to change the shape of it. So I don't know if I'll get it another year out of it, but I have, I kind of stock up on it a little bit. I keep it handy. So if I
Uh-huh.
have to make another one, I do from year to year, but I try to reuse them over. And then some of them are drilled out for if you see the utility pole in the background,
Uh-huh.
some people call them telephone poles, but I'm a former lineman, so we call them utility poles. We don't like them called telephone poles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but the utility pole back there, I just painted the base gray. But
Mm-hmm.
the street lights are made from a company called Lifelike. Everybody knows Lifelike. By
Oh
the
yeah.
way, Lifelike is when it was in business was based here in Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh,
So
I didn't
a
know
lot
that.
of people bought them. Yeah. So but so the lights are all Lifelike. They've all been rewired with a better grade of bulb in there. But I have to drill holes for them to get the wiring underneath the table. So and
Wow.
then the vehicles, they all vary. Some of them are, I think it's called Ertl.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them I've had for a number of years, going back to when I had Lionel.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the plastic vehicles I picked up from a friend of mine. He's an older gentleman. He's getting on in years, so he's thinning out his collection.
Okay.
And I've learned a lot about Flyer from him. I don't know if I can use his name on the video, but I'll give you his first name. His first name is Bill.
Okay.
I learned a lot about Flyer from Bill, but Bill's thinned his layout over the years, thinned down his collection and his layout, and a couple of the plastic vehicles from his layout I have on mine.
Nice. Nice. I also am intrigued. I see you've got the Minicraft newsstand
Yes.
right up against the Plasticville station.
Right. I have that set, that complete set. Actually, mine is pieced together. All three pieces were bought separate.
Is that right? Okay.
The other two are in a different area. And the other piece, and I know you know this about the Minicraft, some of them were made by Minicraft, sold as Minicraft, and then others are made for Gilbert.
Right.
One of mine is the Minicraft version, and some of the signage on it was a little bit different, but it's in one of the pictures, but you can't see the sign on it. But I just learned that a couple of years ago. I have some paperwork, article that was written on them that my friend Bill gave me, and if you're interested, I can forward it to you to read.
That'd be
Very
fascinating.
interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting.
All right, let's take a look at. Okay, so this is another scene, another angle. There's your mountain you were talking about.
Yep, there's the paper mountain. This one was taken before I got some of the lichen put in there, some of the shrubs. I usually add some of that to it, and don't believe you see any on this one. If it is, it's very little. So, but what you see there is a lot of again, the Plasticville, the gas station, the post office, the cathedral or church.
Got a diner there.
The diner, and then there's the ice cream stand over there. That's custom painted. Also, the diner is custom painted. Most of the Plasticville buildings I'll leave like they are, but some of them I'll paint them. And then on the far left, just barely in the picture, and on one of the other pictures you can see it is the Scenorama, the Gilbert Scenorama.
Oh wow!
And I bought that from my friend Bill as well. Now that he sold me, it's in the original box, but it's missing one of the middle sections of trees. But he has multiple. I don't know where he got it, but he has multiple, like the fold out warehouse and some of the buildings that have multiples of, but I'm missing that middle section. So I could probably never sell it for what it's worth. I don't even know what it is worth. I think I maybe paid $50 or $60.
Wow.
So, but I use it every year. And usually what I do, I'll put one corner in the left and one corner in the rear left and one corner in the rear right. And then I'll bridge the centerpiece where I'm missing it with a piece of mountain paper or something like that. But this year I used it a little bit differently. And in right there in the middle, you'll notice there's a couple of your curved grade crossings.
Well, I was just thinking, boy, those curved road crossings sure look nice.
Yeah, I have a couple of your straights as well. So and I think when I bought them from you this year, I think I was asking if you could kind of rush them because I couldn't get the track together until I had them both in there, because this is where I wanted them to go. So yeah, so I was a little late getting to you. I'm glad you sent them as quickly as you did. That was great.
Well, so. and just so you know how important you are, Michael, one of those actually came off of my layout because
really? Wow.
I try to always have some of those on hand so I can put them together when someone wants one. And it just so happened I used up all the spares I'd made, and my printer was busy with a great big roadbed order. And so I thought, well, I guess I'll just take this one. So I have a spot on my layout that I need to put one in for.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, they really look nice. They really do.
Yeah. Well, thank you for getting those. I also was looking at your semi truck with capacitors. That's a really great idea. Those look scale.
Yeah. So my dad was an electrician, old master electrician, and he kept a lot of that stuff around. My dad's long since passed. He died back in '93. But I like to honor him every year by putting something on the layout. Like I said, he's the one that got me into trains. But he bought me my first American Flyer. But so then I became an electrician as well before I started with the Baltimore Gas and Electric as a lineman. But those I had, he used to put them on my brother would use them as flat car loads as well.
Okay. Okay.
I never knew what they were when I was a kid. I didn't know, I didn't learn until years later when I became an electrician myself. But they're the only three I can find. So if I ever come across any more, I'll grab them and use them. But they're perfect for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you're in that little the frosty bar, that paint job is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was another custom job. I did that last year. And I wish I had a picture of the inside. There was a couple little, I made a refrigerator and an ice box
Is
all
that
cut
right?
out of wood, and they're in there as well. It's three of them. You can't see them, but no, they're
That's too
inside
bad.
there.
Well, we'll have to take your word for it.
Yeah. I'll send you pictures of them. The Watchman shanty is just a Bachman. Drawing a blank on the type of buildings again. I can't believe this. I'm getting too old. But anyway, it's just a Bachman S gauge Watchman shanty with custom made base, and then of course I made a light for that one as well.
Oh, that's a custom too. Wow. Yep. Wow. All right. Looks like we got one more No, there's a couple more pictures here.
Oh, and the tunnel portals, they're custom made as well.
Okay. I love the date. That's really cool.
Yeah, I like putting that on there. Now they're bigger than what I want them to be. I would like them to be scale height, but because I operate a Franklin on my layout with which we all know is way out of scale with that large smokestack, I have to have the portal cut larger. So that's why it looks a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So, and I have a couple others that I made because every year the placement of the tunnel changes. So I have to put some I have singles and some are doubles. Okay. But this year I just made the mountain a little bit simpler. So.
Wow.
So this is just another view from the left end, and the sign for the Frosty bar. You can't see that. That's custom made. The Sinclair gas station sign is custom made, and the sign right there on the diner, that's custom made. Wow. And I made them. I went online and found pictures of the Sinclair sign, and I just printed them out until I got the right size and just made the cardboard base and the wood base and the cardboard back to it.
Okay.
So one of these days I'm going to put lights on them, but I haven't gotten around to that yet.
Oh, man, that just is brilliant. I love how. Oh, it looks so great. I see the people are. I mean, it's realistic to a point where it seems like people are alive and moving.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It just kind of pop alive a little bit at times. I noticed I have a burnt out bulb on one of the lights. I just saw that. So every year I use some of the same buildings. I have some others that I have a couple other churches and a couple houses, another barn, that I use. I'll switch them in, every year. I try and change the street scene, but sometimes I can't. It just seems like I always end up with something pretty close. I like that rural, country town look.
Yeah.
The two trestles are new this year. I bought both of those.
Okay.
So they're in really good condition. And another thing I did not use this year, I did not use my I have the animated cattle yard.
Oh,
I usually have that in there. I did not put that in this year, and I didn't use the barrel loader this year.
Okay.
If I used them, I would have had to really kind of squeeze some other buildings out. So I thought, maybe I'll just pass them this year. I'll put them back in next year.
Yeah, you've got a packed space already.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is really well done. Wow.
Thank you.
Now, we're in reference to where we're at now with the tree bee.
So I don't do that anymore. So my wife, we put the tree in the living room, and what I do typically is I'll put a small HO train around the tree, But this year we're not going to because of our granddaughter.
Gotcha.
She would go right for it.
Yeah.
So maybe next year we'll go back with the train around a tree again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh,
but
this has just been phenomenal. I can't believe the amount of effort you've put into that. It's
thank you.
just a crazy amount of detail. That is just
I
amazing.
appreciate it. Yeah, it's fun to do. I don't look at it as work because it's it is our hobby and it's a lot of
Yeah.
fun, but it can get nerve wracking at times. But I have to start in October, and that's the downfall. I would much rather wait until a little bit later, but I would never get it done in time. The goal is to have it done by the 1st of December.
Okay.
So
Now, do you have an
yeah.
open house or have coworkers come over and see it or anything like that? No?
No, I mean we've had some people come over this year. The 2 little girls across the street, their mom and dad going to bring them over, and then I have a couple little brother and sister who are related to by marriage to my daughter, her husband's side of the family. They're going to come over and look at it.
Okay.
That's about it,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Believe it or not, there's a lot of people who come into the house to visit that don't really care about it. It doesn't do
they
anything
don't.
for them. No, yeah. So
That's
I
the
find it
pride.
hard to believe, but yeah.
Probably should check them for fever or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
Right.
Michael, thank you very much for sharing with me and with us today. This has just been inspiring to see what can be done in a compact space for Christmas every year. It's just amazing. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you all again soon. Until next time, enjoy those American Flyer trains. We'll see you. God bless. Take care. And thank you, Michael, so much for joining us today. We'll see you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Austin, for having me. I'll see you. Bye.
Oh, it's been great. Thank you.